This is Excel 2016, Module 4, Part 2. We are going to be working with pie charts. So the first thing we need to do is we need to take this annual payment information and we need to update our projected cash flow. We will need to use that information during the creation of some of our charts. So we're going to go ahead and put 20,000 for the annual payment amount. It's slightly less than that, but that's a good, nice round number. Since this is a projection, we don't need it to be exact. And then we're going to go back to our business loan and save that. Now we're going to start working with a pie chart. Now when working with pie charts, they do say that if you get more than 6 or so slices that you're going to be using in your pie, then it's very difficult to make an effective pie chart presentation with that many slices. So keep that in mind as you're working with your charts. There are a few tips that will help you determine which type of chart you should be using with your data. And then there are also tools built into Excel that will help us with that. So let's go ahead and click on the Market Summary workstation. And what we want to create a pie chart from are the market summary pack types and the totals. So what we need to do is we need to highlight the data. Once you have the data in the system, it's very easy to create your chart. As a matter of fact, it will only take us a couple of minutes to create the chart. The rest of the time we will spend improving the quality and the look of the chart. So we are going to start by highlighting A4 through B10. So the first step is to highlight your data. There are several ways to start the charts, one of which is using our Quick Analysis button. So we're going to start there today. We're going to use the Charts tab, and under that chart category you will see that one of the options is a pie. So we will click on that, and you can see how quickly our chart was created. Couple things to be aware of. First, you notice because the chart is the active object, we now have 2 new contextual tabs available on our ribbon. We also notice that the chart sits on top of the worksheet. It is not in the actual cells. Because of this, as you can see, it is covering the data that's in those cells. So we may need to move it. We also have, beginning in the last version of Excel 2013, these buttons here next to the chart. These can be used to help us format the chart, as well as most of the options are also available up here on our ribbon. So the first thing we might like to do is move and resize the chart. So for example, if I want this chart to be displayed underneath the data that it relates to, I can hover over it until I get across with an arrow. When I hold that down, now when I move my mouse, I am moving the chart. So I'm going to place the chart in A12. And now I'm going to move my cursor down so I can see the entire chart. I want to enlarge the chart so that it goes from A12 to D26. Now if you hover over a corner, you notice you get the diagonal arrow. You can also hover over the dots in the center of one of the borders. These dots are called resizing handles. When you move with these dots, you are actually changing the size. So we're going to have it start in A12 and end in D26. The next thing we want to do is we want to work with some of the chart elements. You can see all the work Excel did for us. It started out, it used this heading as your title, and then it gave you a legend using these labels in column A. So if I do not want the chart title, I can click on the plus for the elements, and I can uncheck the box next to chart title. One thing you should have seen is that when I did that, the pie itself got larger. The way Excel does it is that it creates whatever items you have, and it creates the pie or the chart as large as possible inside this chart area. So once you define the chart area size, it will try to utilize that as much as possible. If you want the pie itself to be bigger, then you need to move, remove, or resize the objects that are around the pie, taking up space in that chart area. So now we're going to look at the data labels. The data label button, if I click that, it will add the values inside each of the pieces of the pie. The next thing I want to do is look at the chart styles. So this is our chart style button. Many of the things that we're doing here can also be done up here on the ribbon. These are the same styles up here that I see down here. So we're going to scroll down and find style 12. And we're going to click on that. Notice if you hover over other options, it does show you what they will look like in a live preview. Another thing you can do is if you look, you have color options. So notice you can change the colors that are being used in your pie. Okay, we're going to leave those colors the same. So the styles allow us to do styles and color. Now let's go back to our elements. And let's take a look at the legends. Next to legends, there's a right arrow. Notice I can specify where I want it to be. So I can say, do I want it on the right? Do I want it on top, left? Bottom is where it currently is. We are going to choose to put it on the right. When you move it to the right, that allows the pie to get a little bit larger since it's no longer taking up space underneath it. Now, if I want to do more things to that legend, then what I need to do is choose this More Options button. When I do that, it opens up a formatting pane. So you'll notice that the first thing I can do is set the position. I can also go into this fill and I can set a fill color, and I can also set borders. Okay, so on the fill color, I am going to choose a solid fill, but I don't want it to be this blue color. I'm going to click the color button, and I am going to choose gold, accent 4, lighter 40%. So you need to make sure you find the correct percentage that matches the assignments when you're doing your homework. Now on the border, I'm going to choose a solid line. And again, I am going to choose the color, and I want it to be gray, 50%. That one's black. That's the white. This is the gray 50%. So you have to find the correct gray. Then you're going to go accent 3, lighter 40%. So you need to find the correct percentage again. And notice you can also change the width of that border and other things. We are going to go up and choose the effects. So on the effects, you can have it create a shadow. So I'm going to choose shadow. And under the presets button, I want it to say to choose the offset diagonal bottom right. So it's an outer, and you're going to find the one that says offset offset diagonal bottom right. Click off of the legend, and now you can see that it has a shadow, it has the coloring and the border around it to isolate it more. Now at the top of the format pane, under the legend options, chart options, choose legend. Now you see legend options. You're going to want to click Series, Total, Data Labels. Now we're going to choose the label options and click the down arrow for the label options. Right now we have the values displaying. However, the values are visible right above it. So I don't really need those. What I really would prefer to see are the percentages. However, if I click percentages, notice values is still checked. So now both of them are showing. So we need to remove the checkbox next to values. The way Excel works is best fit will put the percentages on top of the piece of pie unless they don't fit. If they don't fit, then it'll put it as close to the piece of the pie as it can. If you don't want it that way, you can come in and choose where you want those to be placed. I want them all to be outside the pie, but close to that piece of pie. This option here that says show leader lines, if there were 2 or 3 really small pieces of pie close together and you couldn't fit the percentages effectively next to them, then it would draw a line and put one of the percentages over here further to make room. And that's what those leader lines are. If you have that checked, it will automatically do that for you. The next thing we want to do is change the number formatting. So we're going to click this box here that says number. And we're going to come down and we're going to change the category to percentage. And we're going to specify that it should only have 1 decimal point. When you tab out of the field for the 1, you will see that it's changed to that. So now we can close these format data labels. And we're back to our pie. So let's decide that we want to change a piece of the pie. We want one of the colors to be changed. So we have this dark blue, which is our exterior frame. When we click on that once, the entire pie is changed. There is highlighted. You want to make sure that you don't change the color when it's like this, or you change every piece of the pie to the same color. You have to click a second time so that the only piece of the pie that is highlighted is the one that you want to change. And then we're going to go to the Home tab and choose the fill color. Now in the fill color, we can choose whatever color we want. We are going to choose green accent 6, lighter 40%. And now it changes the color of that slice. Notice it also changes the color on the legend for you. Now if we want to change the color of the chart area, we need to click somewhere on the chart area that is not clicking on the actual piece of the chart or one of the elements. A good way to make sure you have the right thing selected is if you click on the Format tab and you come over here and you look at the chart element that is listed as the current chart element. you want to make sure that that says you are editing the chart area. So we are going to go to the Home tab and we're going to select again our fill color. We're going to choose green accent 6, lighter 60%. And you can see that that highlighted our entire chart area in the light green. So now if we want to do some what if analysis with our chart, what you're going to see is if we change this underlying data, the data that was used to create the chart, you're going to see it change the definitions. Or excuse me, you're going to see it change the actual chart. Okay, so if I change the value in B7 for hiking to 100, you'll notice it recalculated our pi and made the two sections, hiking and sport, both equal. And it recalculated all the percentages to match that. So we're going to go ahead and change that back in B7 to 55. And now let's say that they've decided they want to change these names. They do not want them abbreviated. So what we're going to do is we're going to type external frame and internal frame. And notice that as I make those changes, it changes my legend to match those as well. Sorry about that. And the last thing I can do using my charts to do some what if analysis is I can use filters. So this button here says it's a chart filter. So if I click that, right now every chart, every piece to the pie is selected. They're all showing. But if I want to change that, I could say uncheck hiking, uncheck external frame, uncheck internal frame, and then click apply. And now the only ones that are showing are school, travel, and sport. So if you're trying to analyze different things, look at different components, we can uncheck or filter certain items out. Those items are still there. They're still part of our chart. If we click select all twice, once to uncheck everything, a second time to select everything, and then click apply, now all of the chart pieces return. That's all of the area that we have for our pie chart. I just do want to reiterate, notice when I clicked away from my chart, those contextual tabs are gone. But if I click on the chart, then they appear. You're going to see these same types of charts and tabs contextual tabs in several areas within Excel. So let's save our work on our pie chart. And next we will start working on a clustered column.